Well, welcome to the Ethics and Bible Translation Conference session on a framework for understanding and implementing AI ethically in Bible translation. I'm your presenter, Joe Burgin, and we'll take a look today over the next few minutes at some assumptions that we can explore about ethical understanding of AI and also some directions for guidance for the redemptive use of AI. A little bit about me. I am the data science program coordinator and professor at the College of Southern Maryland, regional community college, south of Annapolis, east of Washington, D.C. And I've been teaching for about 40 years, mostly in the areas of information systems, web development, computer science, computer programming, and now currently data science. So my graduate coursework started after about 40 years ago. My wife and I attended Wycliffe's Quest summer program in Tockwitz Pines, California. And then we went off to University of Texas, Arlington at the SIL campus in Dallas, studied applied linguistics. And then more recently, studying data analytics, which we now call data science since then, in Georgia Tech's online program. My current research interests involve the application of machine learning and artificial intelligence technologies to computer programming, which I do at work, and especially NLP, natural language processing, to texts, and particular interests are Greek and Latin texts. Happily married, father of 7, grandfather of 10, which is why I'm particularly interested in this topic for this next generation that's going to be dealing with this their entire lives, exploring a redemptive thesis for artificial intelligence. And our focus will be on redemptive. So going beyond an ethical AI framework to a redemptive framework. And for that, I am indebted to Andy Crouch, whose paper we're going to be walking through, which is published here at this link, and which you can click on from the program and follow along with us. So focusing on this redemptive thesis for AI, we're looking at this as a call for our generation to repair and redeem our Bible translation efforts through using artificial intelligence, and may not have typically thought of these terms all going together, but that's exactly what we'd like to explore right now. At the site that has the paper, there is a 20-some minute video of a presentation of the general topic. It is different content from the paper. The paper that we'll work through is very sequentially organized. It will be helpful for us because we can keep track of our ideas. And this is more of a free-form discussion, and it's very worthwhile to watch this. I'd like to just play for a minute one of the main challenges that we'd like to keep in mind as we go through the paper. There we go.
All these are risks that we're conscious of, that people are talking about. And I just think where there's big risks, there's a big redemptive opportunity to shape a different direction. But in some ways, an even more interesting, that behind and underneath these risks are these big questions that so many people are asking so openly and with such genuine curiosity about the answer. And Mark Sears, who's our venture partner working on this, articulated it this way. I think it's a great summary of the conversations that are happening in and around this technology. What is real in a world where AI can so convincingly simulate things that we don't think we want to call real? And maybe even more important, what is it really to be human? I think it is amazing that these questions are being asked with the level of seriousness and the level of open-endedness that they're being asked and that we're being forced to ask. What an amazing opportunity. to step in with a redemptive thesis. Something that is not just about ethical guidelines or guardrails. Obviously, it's extremely important that there be kind of an ethical framework for AI. Lots of people are working on this. Some of them are Christian. And I think here's how I want to try to explain it. AI is giving us an opportunity to do something that rarely is easy to do with technology. And that is to articulate how what we most deeply believe about the world shapes what we build. For many kinds of technology, it's very hard.
So one of the things that I'm really particularly interested and excited about this approach, as we are all dealing with AI in our own particular silos and spheres and areas of work, is this bigger picture of looking at the philosophical questions as humans and as Christians that we all deal with, and that this is an opportunity not only to engage the world with these ultimately most important questions, but also for it to guide how we apply and use these tools, not just ethically, but redemptively. So, to guide our discussion, we're going to walk through the 6 assumptions that we will use as a basis for exploring 6 redemptive directions of the use of AI. So 6 assumptions that will help us understand AI. And the first one is one that we are very used to thinking about, and that is that we are all made in the image of God. We have an enduring image. That's our first assumption, because we will see that AI asks questions, as was just mentioned, about what does it mean to be human, that we can that we need to be sure of our answers, so that we are using AI in the way that is intended as Christians. So we are image bearers of God, and that we have this ability to discover these patterns in the world, that we develop our tools, and all of that's meant to be done for the glory of God, for the good of others, and for the flourishing of creation. That's our first basic assumption. Not surprisingly, our second assumption is that that is not how it works out. That there is besides these patterns that God has given us to discover, there's a pattern of deceptions. And that our story since the beginning is that we have been captive to a pattern of deceptions, and that we have compromised our ability to be able to know what's best. That's distorted how we use these tools. And in particular, if we kind of divided them into 3 areas, the first would be pride, this idea that we can use this knowledge and these abilities, this intelligence, without any relationship to God. That would be pride. Second, that we could use them in a way that has no relationship with others. And this technique or magic would be a power that we are taking to ourselves without considering others. This is another faulty way that we have to account for as part of our assumption. And then finally, besides being um, disconnected from God and others, with the creation, and this would be the area of mammon, and that we have the pursuit of some kind of abundance without any dependence. So those 3 assumptions bring us into a pattern that is dishonoring to God, degrading of humans, ourselves and others, and diminishing of creation. So that's our second assumption, that as humans, this is how we approach the use of tools and intelligence. So our third assumption is that AI, which is a tool, a science like any other, is part of the very good, and it's our job to, we're meant to, steward and extend them to help flourishing. So what's particularly powerful about the AI tools is that they are based on patterns that God has built into us about how we learn, with neural networks and the biological functioning of the brain. So they do have echoes of that kind of power. And also rolled into them with these LLMs, large language models, is our culture, written and video, and anything that we have digitized has been modeled into these systems. So that's got a lot of power and content. And So we could expect that this would be a powerful tool for unlocking good, to be used as good because it leverages so much of what God has given us and what we have done. But, part of our assumption that we're going to have to, taking those first two assumptions into account, is that although everything is made in the image of God and that um, that we are designed to be able to participate in God's creation, it is broken. And because of that, our models are broken. Our models have subsumed in them all of the sin and all of the things that are harmful, as well as things that are good. And that cannot be teased out in any way that we can count on. So that's our third assumption. Our fourth assumption is that this particular technology is probably as consequential, powerful as the internet. Um, or electricity, and maybe even agriculture. In any case, this is a supremely a powerful and consequential technology, and we are right now having this discussion because we are at this inflection point where we're starting to realize its power as it's being rolled out and trying to figure out what the consequences are. So, what we'd like to do is to use this to benefit creation, but we also know that this has the power to damage human beings and have unforeseen consequences. We've seen this with previous technologies, and we won't be surprised for this to be an issue with AI. Fifth assumption is that there's an asymmetrical risk. With AI, you hear talk about a singularity, idea that this technology could supplant humans, but as Christians, we don't see a universe where a technology would replace humans in the way that we were designed to be an image of God and have a responsibility for each other. So we don't want to embrace that idea, but we want to be aware that along the way, there are it's very probable that AI will be able to outstrip humans' capacities in a lot of areas and replace tasks and activities. What we are concerned about in this assumption is that it would be used for exploitative ends or be aware of the unintended consequences. So when we think of other asymmetric technologies like nuclear fission, which has obvious powerful benefits for creating energy or medical uses, it also has this huge downside. And so we have naturally uh, uh, great concerns for its unintended consequences and for regulating its use. In the same way, we need to think about the asymmetrical power of AI technologies to use them ethically. And then the final assumption is that uniquely AI can give us this fantasy of the superhuman because it's uniquely an intelligence, that is, that it has the ability to um, mimic the way that we have personality and relationships and purpose. Uh, we need to be careful that this does not become something that is harmful in those avenues. In particular, um, because of its power, it could be a means for that triumph of the pride, the magic, and the mammon that we had mentioned, and that we also wanted to be careful and aware that it has the ability to um, invent alternatives to human relationships. And so, with these six assumptions firmly settled, so I think we're all aware of, but it's really nice to have these delineated. And in this particular perspective, let's take a look at six redemptive directions. That is, focusing on not just ethical use of AI, but how we could use AI to redeem what we've just been talking about. So we'd like to look at extending AI in redemptive ways. So beyond just the ethical boundaries, which are important, that's a big, huge part of it is that we do put safeguards. But looking at that last idea to repair some of the damage that's been done by previous ways, we have a unique opportunity with this powerful tool to start bringing repair and redemption to creation with one of these tools if it's used as a redemptive tool. So if we're waiting for this to happen from the top, from governments and from corporations, we may not be happy with the result. And as Bible translators in the Bible translation community, we have a unique opportunity to do this from below. And by shifting the direction of innovation through specific applications. So if we think of this really amazing endeavor of Bible translation from surveys to working in community, working on a translation project, literacy, the growth of the church, the redemptive, not just ethical, but redemptive use of AI as a tool that is already all around us gives us a chance to have a particular witness and also have an ethical use of this tool in God's work. So, like any other technology that we've been using already, its general purpose has particularly many uses or ends it could be used for. But what we're looking for, big picture, is to deploy it to dethrone that pride, which separates us from God, that magic separates us from others, the technique, the magic button, and that mammon, that abundance without any dependence, to dethrone those and to elevate instead the dignity of human beings and their capacity to flourish. So, what I love about this thesis as a professional working in teaching students how this technology works, working uh, in evaluating the tools and their ethical use for students and for the workforce, especially code generation tools, uh, working through and thinking through the use of these tools with sacred texts. Uh, what I love about this thesis is the bigger picture and challenge it gives us in the Bible translation community to be able to step beyond and above the necessary discussions that we have, which I'm involved with every day, from never use it to use it with caution to use it, uh, with abandon, and the arguments that can be made from any of those vantage points. And as we each try to figure out an ethical use, looking at a redemptive call is really helpful. And it's really encouraged me, probably more than anything else, that we can find a higher witness as a Christian community where there's a lot of confusion because we have these bigger assumptions to tie this to. And so now we can take a look at how to think about and ask ourselves, how would it look in Bible translation for AI to redeem each of these particular areas? So let's take the first one. Redemptive AI will inform but not replace human agency. So with AI, we've got this amazing technology for not only as a prediction machine underneath the hood, but that it can allow us and empower us to make decisions and choices and to be this helpful tool. Uh, but we want to be careful because we've seen so far that it is easily used unjustly, right, by the marketplace, by repressive regimes, and that it can suppress human freedom and responsibility. So we have this huge area that is ethically fraught, and we want to bring a redemptive use that will empower human agency, the ability to make choices freely and with dignity. So, redemptive AI would be choices we make to actively repair and restore human agency. So, being careful not to concentrate or diffuse that agency or that power. And also, we don't want to relieve other people from the responsibility by having the machine make the choices for them. So, how would it look in Bible translation for AI to redeem human agency? That's the first question that we want to ask ourselves. Second, redemptive AI will develop rather than diminish human cognitive capacity and extend rather than replace education. So, Many of us are in the education field, and this is a really unique opportunity and challenge for us as to how to use a tool that, in a way that will benefit and strengthen our students as they are learning and not have the unintended effect of really uh, devaluing their education. It's a great opportunity, right? Because education is inequitable in much of the world. Uh, Either in the developed world, it's not equally accessible or fairly accessible. In much of the world, it's not accessible. And we have a set of technologies that also have the ability to, even in the developed world, um, trap people in social media and having them just awash in the uh, parts of the content that is not sustaining or healthy. So we could use it to accelerate those trends, right? We have concern about students who are not getting a competent subject because they're able to use this as instead of learning, and also as a way to have um, an irresistible stream of entertainment poured at our students. So these are great challenges for not only education, but for our society as general going forward. How would it look in biotranslation for AI to redeem education in this way? So redemptive AI can make massive contributions to education and cognitive growth by appropriately scaffolding, supporting sequencing, so really structuring and limiting and focusing the scope of these AI tools so that they are um, helping and tutoring and nurturing learning rather than replacing learning. So think about how that would look in um, biotranslation and literacy. How could these tools be used in a redemptive way? Three. So redemptive AI will respect and advance human embodiment. One of the challenges of AI, as we saw with the previous sets of assumptions, is that it tends to disembody users. And as Christians, we believe that bodies are a feature of the creation, not a bug. And this has been a long battle in through history, is that God loves the human body. He created it, and He has a redemptive plan for how to use it in a way that is honoring and flourishing and gives Him glory. So we've seen already that AI can be used to disembody or encourage sedentary activity, neglect how we've been designed. But we would like to use redemptive AI dynamically. So think of the opportunities for assistive, adaptive, full sensory uses that give people access to the world around them and to the scriptures and to life. So there are redemptive uses. How would it look in Bible translation to use AI to redeem embodiment? Number four, redemptive AI will serve relationships rather than replace them. And one of the chilling possibilities, as we've seen, is that AI gives such persuasive simulations of relationships that are addictive and degrading that it'll be a challenge for us, as we've just seen with social media, for something even more powerfully engaged and capable of learning our from our data. How could redemptive AI be employed here? So we would look to be careful that redemptive AI was never present itself as a person, and that it would be pointed at instead to facilitate relational pathways. How would that look in biotranslation for AI to be guided to build and strengthen relationships? So, as an example, what if in scheduling very complex work-life schedules, AI was used to optimize work schedules to enhance people's personal lives and relationships rather than minimize or abuse them. Fifth redemptive challenge, AI will restore trust in human institutions by protecting privacy and advancing transparency. By nature, these systems are opaque, and that's really by the nature of the technology. They are uh, built by so many complex layers of neural networks that doing reverse engineering for transparency is still a growing field. The technology is outpacing our ability to understand it, and being able to put guardrails on it and to have the systems aligned that they'll do what we are hoping that they'll do or that we intend them to do without unintended consequences. We are far beyond in enforcing these basic constraints on these systems as they are just exponentially being deployed in our society. And then, of course, this whole area also is that these systems are surveying us and gathering data about us. So the systems have no transparency, but the data, our lives, are rendered transparent to the people that are profiting for them. So without that kind of redemptive development, we have all this data about ourselves available only to large scale owners. And what we really need is a reversal that the institutions and the systems become more transparent and our information, our data, and the people become more protected. Think about how that would look in Bible translation, that we can ensure that those that we are serving and those that we are trying to employ these tools to learn their language and translate, that we don't become part of a system that victimizes them and their privacy. So redemptive AI would be sure to give clarity, not less, more, uh, to how they operate, dignity to those who are being using these systems, and disclosures. And six, redemptive AI will benefit the global majority rather than rich, entrenched, and narrow minorities. So we are, in the Bible translation community, uniquely sensitive to this, more than many enterprises and endeavors that are trying to employ technology to better fulfill the mission. And we also need to be aware of whole energy uh, use of these systems, and that these corporations and the countries that they are supporting do not have the best interest of the majority poor of the world at heart. And our goal is that we would want to at least think about how these tools can be provided, assuming that they're safe and protected with all the assumptions above, at very low marginal cost to benefit low-income users, that this does not become a digital divide that we employ and it separates us from our brothers and sisters across the globe. We know this issue from training data that's focused on majority speaker languages. So it's something that we can really showcase uniquely in our community about building language models that are smaller and focused on low resource languages and using them in ethical and in redemptive ways. So finally, and importantly, redemptive AI's goal is to unlock what's going on for the benefits on this pyramid so that the innovations are available without ensnaring the world's poor um, and not disrupting uh, the human connection, and making sure that it benefits not just the largest donors of the largest pools of data. So we're in an era right now with AI that's tempting to go full force ahead, not be left behind. But we must be careful that we don't fall into the trap of thinking that we can take care of this ethical reflection of how to use AI in a redemptive way incrementally. We need to get ahead of the game and not be playing catch up. So we've seen previously other waves of technology, let's take social media, uh, have no regard for privacy or the humanity of the people that are using these systems. And so we can expect that AI will not be any better, but if anything, worse. So our view here is that we're really looking at how to repair what has been damaged, not just um, take advantage of the power of these systems, and that redemptive AI has the possibility to um, liberate human beings to live fully. That's what they truly are, incomparable, irreplaceable image bearers of the Creator who made all things in and for love, addressing all the way back to our first assumption that we are made in God's image. And this tool here must be used in a redemptive way, not just an ethical way, but in a way to help repair this world. So if you were challenged by this, then I encourage you to follow further with the discussion that's going on in the community and online, and to really take a stand for um, using AI in not just an ethical way, but a redemptive way. Well, thank you for your attention, and God bless you, each and every one.